Hello and welcome back to Tradie Business School, the podcast where we love to have real conversations and share tips and insights on how you can run your trades or contracting business more enjoyably, profitably and easily. I'm your host, Miranda Hill. It is wonderful to be back. Today I'm going to be having a chat about the 4 steps to motivating a demotivated employee. Have you ever wondered why a star employee suddenly starts dragging their feet? Or maybe why an entire team starts slowing down and becoming more unproductive by the week? Or perhaps why your star hire or a team member starts making a lot of mistakes on the job? So the answer to this is motivation, which you probably know. We're going to unpack the 4 ways. We're going to unpack all of the 4 ways that you can begin to start diagnosing the reasons for motivation. Before we begin, though, let's just have a think about what are the signs and symptoms of an unmotivated employee? Like, how do you know? How do you know that they're unmotivated? All right, so they're late to work a lot. Maybe when they get there, they're slow to start. They kind of, off at making the coffee, or they're just frigging around with their toolbox or whatever it is. They're just slow to start. The poor productivity, when they actually start, they don't move quickly. A bad attitude, poor negative comments, quips, just things like that. Maybe there's tiredness, fatigue, disinterest. Mistakes on the job is another one. Lack of care. So there may be genuine mistakes, or maybe they just seem to be careless. Often you'll notice a withdrawal from the team, a withdrawal from clients, a withdrawal in general, sloppiness on the job, lack of care, lack of focus, all of those sorts of things. So these are all the signs and symptoms of poor motivation. Now, when we think about it for a moment, poor motivation is so important that we nip it in the bud when a team member becomes unmotivated, because it's a little bit like a weed that begins to take root. The roots go down and the weed starts spreading. It will weave its way through your business and start tangling itself around your good employees, those that are motivated. They will begin to feel like they've got these sort of weeds wrapped around their ankles. They will start moving more slowly. It will become like an infection that takes over your culture. Very, very important that any signs of lack of motivation are addressed immediately by you actively. So I see many business owners that will withdraw. They start wondering. They just really don't know what to do. Research shows that motivation will account for about 40% of the success of team projects. That was a stat I read in the Harvard Business Review. So, what we often notice is that managers will often be at a total loss as to how to motivate uninspired, unmotivated employees. They will be at a loss and struggle as to how to even begin the conversation. They will be fearful of it. So we know it's super important, yet there's that gap between, I can see that they're unemployed. Not unemployed. Geez, I'm all over my words today. We'll keep rolling. It's a bit funny, really. I trip over my words sometimes. So thanks for persisting and listening to me as I trip over my words. I will keep going. The gap between noticing that someone is unmotivated and knowing why, and then feeling confident with what to do about it. I think that's the key here, is to build confidence. So to build confidence in being able to handle an unmotivated team member means that you can step into those conversations with and get better results from them. Overall, your team will do better. You will feel better. You will be helping an employee. You'll be helping your business. The results will show for it: greater productivity, greater efficiency. You'll build a better culture, and effectively you'll be killing those weeds off. The things that start, the unmotivation being the weed, not the human being, of course. So let's start motivation. We'll define it. Let's define motivation. It is the willingness to get the job done by starting it, by persisting through it, and by putting in the hard work to get it done. So they've got to start. So there's kind of like an initiation. The motivation to start something is important. So procrastination is the thing that gets in our way of the starting of anything. Put your hand up. Well, you don't if you're driving, but if you've ever procrastinated from starting anything, so that's the beginning, the start motivation. Then we need to be able to persist in the face of distraction, persist in the face of other shiny objects. We need to be able to persist and keep going, to maintain the actions that we need to take. So lack of motivation can come. People can start things eventually, but then they don't keep going with it. They stop doing it or they slow right down. The other part of motivation is the willingness to invest effort. So this is where we get low productivity, poor results, not a lot of effort. It gets haphazard, sloppy, lack of focus type things where people are not willing, not wanting to invest effort into getting it done to succeed in the job. So that's motivation. Now, the beginning of how to motivate unmotivated team members is in the understanding why they lose motivation in the first place. So that's what I'm going to talk to today, is diagnosing why. There are 4 categories that they can fall into of why they might lose motivation. These are the reasons they lose motivation. And when you understand these reasons, then the how of what to do about the reasons will become very clear very easily. So I'm going to talk to the 4. The first one is a values mismatch. So this is where people don't care enough to do it. They don't care about it. It doesn't matter enough for them to start it, to keep doing it, or to finish it, or put in the effort. They don't care enough. What they're basically saying is that my values are not aligned to this thing or your business. It doesn't matter to me enough. So the key here is to know your business vision, mission, and values. Values being the behaviors, the how of what you do every day. Get your values in place as a business and start bringing them to life in your business. And then you hire people that are a values alignment to these values, to your business values. You can go back through the previous Tradie Business School episodes and find we've done lots of talking about vision, mission, and values. Go all the way up through the episodes. They're all there. Really valuable stuff. I keep circling back to them because all of these sorts of things, motivation of team members goes back to vision, mission, and values. That's why we start with it. Knowing your team members' individual and personal values is really important as well. Now, even if somebody can articulate, say, yes, my personal values are integrity, fun, and adventure, whatever that, I'm making those up, of course. But not many people can actually put words to their values, yet we all have values. We all have values. So sitting down, this is a bit of the how of what you can do, is take your team member aside and have a chat to them about what matters to them. What is it that they value? Where does their time go is a good indicator of personal values, where we invest time in the things we value the most. So talk to them about what matters to them, what's important to them, even to start talking to some of their goals. Then what you need to do is draw parallels and connect what they're doing on the task, on the job, to their personal values. So you want to plug them together because people will always choose to do what they value the most. And if you can kind of plug the thing in that they're doing at work to their value, the thing that they're wanting or a goal, then it'll tow it along like a car tows a trailer. So that's what you want to do. I'll give you an example. For example, let me think of an example. Somebody that might be valuing, they value adventure. They like to go and do great things in their weekends, get out and about, travel. Maybe they love 4-wheel driving, or they've got some kind of hobby that they just like adventuring and things like that. So if you can talk to adventure as part of what they're doing on the job, and even build in some fun adventure, like a bit of adventure into the job, like how can we bring more adventure and fun into this task for you so that you're more motivated to do it? Clearly that matters to you, it lights you up. So what could we do in the job, in this role, that would help you tap into some of that value of adventure? Or what you could do is or you could draw those parallels and say, well, if you do this thing, if you complete this task, if you deliver, then that means that you're going to have more time to go and do the adventure things, more money to be able to go and do the adventure things. So think of ways that you can connect personal values with what it is, the team member, and the tasks they're doing. But most of all, I would say hire to values. Please hire to values. You can't train values in, you can't train attitude in, you can train skills and competency. So hire to your values. Number 2 is lack of self-efficacy, which is the self-efficacy is the trust or belief in self that you can do the thing. So this will show up as a lack of motivation. Really, the reason being, I don't think I'm able to do this. So this is where your team member doesn't believe they have the capacity, skill, or competence to be able to carry out the task. So they just won't be motivated to do it. You've got to start thinking about, how can I build confidence, the confidence of my staff member that they can do the thing, so they feel confident and competent to do it. So a couple of things you can do here is, one, you can draw from their past, their toolbox of life, and find a tool in their toolbox of life experience that they can apply to the current task. So you would ask them, maybe they're struggling to solve a problem. You would ask them about a problem, when they've ever solved a problem in the past, and they go, well, I've done this in the past. Okay, great. So what elements of that could you bring to this? Oh, well, I could do this, this, and this. Right. So okay, so you have done something like this before. Different content, but you can apply that tool. Just as the same way as, you've got your tools in your toolkit that you take from job to job, and you pull them out, and the house address is different, but you use the same spanner, the same hammer, the same saw on that particular house that you're doing the work on. The address changes, the suburb changes, the layout of the house changes. Sometimes even the materials that you're using your tools on will change. However, you can apply the tool to it to do the job. So think about getting them to find a tool from their past. So you want to do that, bring past experience into now so they have evidence. The second thing you can do here, if people don't think they're able to do it, is to help break it down into manageable tasks. So have a chat about how you could break it down into smaller chunks, and then tackle that one chunk, that one part of the job first. All right, let's apply our thinking to this. How can you do it here? So you're reducing the overwhelm and solving it in a smaller way, and then you go from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. So start breaking it down for them. You could ask them to do it, or you could do it with them. When you know that they've worked out how to break things down, you've helped them build that skill and that competence. They will then feel more confident, which will boost their motivation. They will be more, their self-efficacy will increase. So in other words, their belief that they can do it. They'll think, oh, I can do this. I've just done it, so I can do it. So send them straight out on the job and getting them to do it straight away. So build that confidence. The other thing, obviously, that you can do is, if you identify a particular skill or competence that they don't have that needs to be trained in, maybe there's a course, maybe there's more time, guidance, or mentoring that they could spend either with you or another one, I don't know, a site manager, leading hand, something that they can spend time with so that they can develop that skill and competence. All right, now the third one is disruptive emotions. This is where people are just too upset to do it. They're feeling the weight of something. Maybe there's anxiety, anger, worry, depression, obviously non-clinical depression, where clinical depression is another whole conversation. But if people are feeling down, they won't feel motivated. And this downness can come from their personal world, or maybe there's some stuff going on within the business that you're not aware of. So one of the things I would recommend doing here is to find some time, set some time to go and have a chat, take your team member for a coffee, buy them a sandwich, do something where it's just you and them. They can't be overheard, and tell them that you'd like to understand why they're upset, and actively listen. So this is where you listen with your ears and you don't use your mouth, like zip your mouth and listen Don't agree, don't disagree, don't jump to justify, don't let your ego jump in to protect yourself and defend your position if you happen to be part of the reason they're upset. Put all of those things aside and create a safe environment, for a non-judgmental environment for your team member to talk. Just go, okay, help me understand a little bit further. Well, how did that feel to you? What does that mean? Or and how's that a problem to you? Tell me more about it. What happened next? And, okay, great. And that must have been quite upsetting. Just ask them and actively listen. Then what you're trying to do is seek to understand what the team member believes is upsetting them or causing them to be upset. Then you can summarize it back to them and just say, hey, have I understood this? This is kind of what I've heard is upsetting you. You might get it right. If you get it wrong, say, sorry, could you explain it a little bit better? It matters to me to understand. Could you try again? I'm going to listen, keep listening so that I really understand what's going on for you. This matters. The paradox in the talking through things is often the heavy feeling, the negative emotion will naturally dissipate as we talk about it and process it aloud. It softens, which then opens up the conversation to, well, can we do anything about it? Then they will naturally feel more motivated. People need to feel seen, heard, and understood. Yes, you've hired them to do a job. It is a business. They're human beings as well. I know you know that. Connect them with your heart and your humanness in this moment. You don't have to solve it and fix it. So you don't need to shy away from the conversation going, geez, I don't know how to fix this problem for them. You don't need to fix it. You just need to listen. And you can say to them, geez, I actually don't know really even what to say, or the thing that you've shared with me, I don't have any answers for you. Just know that I'm here for you if you need. And maybe you need to connect them with some support outside work as well. You could offer that as assistance, but you don't. It's okay. It's okay not to have the solution and to say that. I think people value that. Right, number 4, attribution errors. So they're unmotivated because they don't know what is going wrong. They don't know why things aren't working for them. They don't know what went wrong. And so they can't accurately identify the reason for stuff not going well. They're struggling with a task. They're struggling to deliver, and they're just sort of going under. And so they start clambering at things outside of them and blaming and looking to find reasons that are outside their control for their struggles. And they will be unmotivated because it's hard, it's struggling. They're feeling like a failure. So they're not going to feel motivated. Who feels motivated to go in and do something that you feel like you're going to fail at, or is just makes you feel awful? So that's where the unmotivation will come from. Your key here is to sit with your team member and start helping them to think clearly about the cause of their struggle. What is the cause or reason for it? Now, often people will start blaming. They'll start blaming and finding excuses outside of them, like maybe I ran out of time, or the job was too hard, or so-and-so didn't deliver this, or I was let down here, or the client did this. This is, all of this external blame makes them feel less and less in control, because everything happening outside of them is outside of their control. So internally they feel out of control, and then the unmotivation, it's like feeding the lack of motivation. So chatting with them a little bit about what is within their control, how they could handle these situations more differently, what in fact is the exact reason why they're struggling with the task, and then helping them to understand that for a start, and maybe there's some solutions that'll come up around that. But you've got to move it into what's within their control and then support them in that, and then the motivation will increase. So that's it. That is the 4 reasons or 4 categories of reason why employees lose their motivation. One is the values mismatch. One is the lack of self-efficacy. The other is disruptive emotions. The last one is attribution errors. So really important. The key here, how to motivate them. The one takeaway I'd love for you to take away as you're listening to this today is to figure out and assess why and the reason for their loss of motivation. Which one of those 4 categories, or even possibly a combination of them, does their demotivation fall into? Then you can think more actively about what to do about it. Spend time rather figuring out how to motivate them. The how to motivate them is actually thinking about what's stopping them from being motivated, right? The how to motivate them is figuring out what is stopping them or preventing their motivation. What is stopping them from starting? What is stopping them from persisting and maintaining their way through it? And what is stopping them from putting in effort to do the job? Okay, so the starting, persisting, and effort. Those are the things you've got to look at. What's stopping them from doing that? And if you focus on diagnosing these problems, then the how will become clear really quickly. So that's it. If you've liked this episode, please share it. I know this content, yes, we talk to tradies, we talk to tradie business owners. It's relevant to every human being because these reasons apply to everybody. This is certainly what I do. I certainly do it. And lack of motivation is something that I work a lot in the areas with our clients. I work it with my private clients when I'm doing, I do personality and behavioral profiling. We look a lot at the ways in which different personality profiles get affected by many of these different categories as well, because there's more and more overlays that we can put onto lack of motivation. So this is my jam. Absolutely love it. You can certainly connect and share, follow this podcast, follow this episode. If you have not yet joined the Tradie Business School, we've got a free Facebook group called Tradies and General Contractors Global. Jump on in there. It's free. I do a live training every Thursday in there. You can jump on in there as well. Jump on in there, and you can certainly connect with me on socials as Miranda Hill. I think on Instagram, Miranda Hill HQ as well. So jump on over and join me there. I will see you all again on another episode soon. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.